Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Dezi. Today is a video all about beginning your path into witchcraft. How to start, where to go, what to do, all that kind of jazz, all that advice. If you guys are interested, keep watching because today's topic is super interesting. Now, something that I would actually really stress on doing right now, if you've not already done it, is to actually get out a pen and paper of any sort in your journal, a scrap piece of paper, whatever it is, and just write out one full page of what is witchcraft to you. What do you want it to be? What do you want to gain from this experience? What do you want to learn from it? Do you want to connect with deities? Do you want to find your own personal power? What is it that you are looking for through using magic and witchcraft as a tool for you? This is going to do a couple things. One, it's going to actually really hone your mind and get you to focus in on exactly what you want to gain through practicing witchcraft on a daily basis. And number two, it's going to work for a really great first page in your Book of Shadows or your grimoire or your spellbook, whichever you may choose to call it. And lastly, what it does for you, if you really don't know after doing this exercise what you want from it, is maybe it may get you started on where to go next. Like maybe you have some baggage on this word witchcraft. Maybe you have to work through some of those things before you can call yourself a witch. Maybe you don't call yourself a witch. Maybe you call yourself an alchemist. Maybe you call yourself an energy worker. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. It's all witchcraft in the end. It's all energy work. But it really gets you started on the path of finding out what's right for you, what you want to call yourself, if you want to call yourself anything at all. And it really helps to free you from any baggage that you may have, either through religious guilt or personal hang-up or things through family issues that may have happened in the past. And after you've done that exercise, the next thing that would come up would actually be having a magical mindset. And if you don't have one of those yet, or you feel like you need to work on it and develop it to make it more of a second nature, then I would definitely suggest on doing that. Magical mindset is really all you really need to get started, is you and your energy and your intention and your focus and your magical creativity, your magical mind. So often on Instagram, I actually get so many questions about people asking, what should I do to get started? What tools do I need? What herbs do I need? Where should I get started? What books should I read? How do I get started? Help me, I need to get started. But I'm super overwhelmed and this is going to cost so much. How much is this going to cost me? Witchcraft is not like joining a sports team. It's not like entering a hockey league or whatever, where you need to get all this equipment and all these specific things to play the game. To play a game of witchcraft, all you need to do is have your intent and have yourself, and that is all you really need. The tools are really just an amplification and a personification of your intention. If you feel like you're called to a certain tool, like tarot cards or rune stones or a wand or whatever it may be, go ahead and get that thing. If you feel like it's going to really help you, if it feels like it's something that you are meant to be using. But I do suggest choosing your tools with wisdom and with clarity. Do not go out and buy all these different things and bust your bank account. It is not necessary. It is not worth it. If something that you want to start learning is tarot cards and you are super invested and willing to do the daily work of learning those cards and how to read them and how to read other people, then do that. Make that the first thing that you learn. And that's okay if it's a tool. You don't have to not have tools because it's something that somebody says you should avoid. Like I just said, going crazy is what we need to avoid. Not having tools is something that we need to avoid. You can have tools and be a witch and still work your intention, and you can not have tools and still be just as good a witch. The next thing I would suggest is to do a magical practice daily, whether that's pulling a tarot card, doing a meditation daily, if it is throwing runestones, if it is charming or blessing or consecrating food or drink or an object of your choice, whatever it may be. It's really going to help get you into the habit of looking at everyday life, everyday mundane life, as more of a magical mindset, as more of a creative way to look at the world. When you, like, for example, for me, I charm and I bless my first drink every single day, whether that be my water or my coffee in the morning. So with my coffee, coffee is very dominating, and I use honey, which is very sweetening and attractive, and I use my milk, and whatever else I want to put. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of cinnamon in it as well, and it's super delicious, but it also has that drawing ability, that fiery energy, that quick manifestation energy. It has that abundance energy as well. And I use that every single morning, and I stir it clockwise to bring something to me, or stir it counterclockwise to take something away from me, depending on what it is. I generally stick to the bringing of positive energy, but if, say, I have a negative situation, I would do it the counterclockwise way. Simple things like that. You can either do it out loud or in your head. It really doesn't matter. Nobody really needs to know what you're doing. They have no idea. And it's that simple act of doing something that simple every single day. No one's going to ever know what you're doing. They're just going to think you're stirring your coffee and being mindful. That's really all it is. It's super easy. And if you start acting in that sense, you're going to start thinking about more creative ways that you can do your practice every day. You don't have to sit down to ritual every single day. And actually, I suggest not doing that, especially in the beginning. It's going to be exhausting, and you do not want to have witch's burnout. And that's actually a very real thing, and it's something that I experienced very early on, and what drew me away from my path for so long. And I definitely suggest that you just take it one day at a time. If you have a certain candle spell you want to do, plan for it accordingly. Take that time and plan for the moon phase or whatever, the day of the week. Plan for it. Just do one spell a week, or one spell every 2 weeks, and then work on maybe a skill like tarot reading or rune reading or tasseography or whatever. Pick one thing and master that thing, and then move on. You do not have to do a ritual every single day. You don't even have to do it every single month. As long as you're just practicing the craft regularly, you are a witch, and you do not have to feel like you have to practice it a specific way to be one. And that gets me onto my very last topic, and that is this stupid idea of that you have to practice a certain way to be a witch. You have to be in a coven to be a witch. You have to be signed into rites to be a witch. It could not be further from the truth. I say practice your craft however the fuck you want. Yeah, I'm gonna swear, I don't care. Practice your craft however which way you feel is fucking necessary for you. Now that that is out of the way, a few tips that I have for you guys. 1, you do not have to know everything. It may be a little bit unknown out there, but people seem to have this connotation that you need to know everything. You need to know everything about every tradition. You need to know everything about history and all of the things, and that's something I definitely do suggest to work towards. And definitely be educated and knowledgeable, and don't be ignorant on certain situations, especially if you're speaking on them or trying to educate others. But you don't have to know everything, and you're not going to know everything. Even if you work on this every single day of your life, you will never have all of the knowledge, all of the tips, all of the spells, all of the anything, all of the rituals. You're not going to know it all. And that's okay. It's all about a learning experience. That's what makes this path your path. It is your experience. It is what's right for you and you alone. And that's okay. You don't have to choose a certain tradition before you start practicing. And I actually suggest not doing that right away. Yeah, research those traditions, but don't box yourself in until you know within your heart that that's something for you. For me, I did that with Wicca, and it was something that resonated at the time, but I was so new into it, and I just wanted something to call my own in a religious aspect because I never resonated with any religions that I was brought up around, that I wanted to cling to that for myself, and I should have waited. I waited a year and a day, and I did the study even, and I still felt in the end, after doing all of that research and all of that work in personal development, that it was still not for me a few years later. If you choose a tradition and you feel like with everything in your being that is yours, but then one day you don't resonate with it anymore, that's fine. You are allowed to discard with what you do not resonate with anymore and then pick up something else along the way. You do not have to be stuck to a certain thing to be a witch. If it doesn't resonate with you anymore, you don't have to box yourself into it. That's why I call myself an eclectic witch. Yes, I have my influences in Celtic paganism and Celtic witchcraft, and yes, I have my influence through hoodoo work as well as through Native American traditions and shamanism because of my background. But that doesn't mean that I have to hold on to every single one of those belief systems for the rest of my life, nor do I have to hold on to only one of them. You can pick and choose with what resonates to you. In some practices, picking a tradition before getting into it, that is necessary. But if you're coming in through this through a solitary perspective, then it's not necessary to have to pick a tradition. Now, I am by no means an expert, and I may have, in this little series of beginner witchcraft, charted down what I feel in order of what is most important for most people to learn in a certain sequence. So, for example, I may have what is witchcraft for you, and then what is magic for you, and then how to begin your path. Within that order, I suggest finding out those things first, just because I feel like it's better guided that way, and that's the way I wish I would have discovered things for myself. And then yes, maybe I would do a video coming up next. My next video is going to be all about protection and casting a circle and energy work and how to bring that chi energy up as well. Just because I feel like if you don't work with chi, you don't work with your inner energy, that is the very basics. And yeah, that may be something I suggest learning first, but for somebody else, it might be more beneficial to learn how to do something else first. It's totally up to you. This may be in a sequence that's more resonant to me, but I may say learn protection magic first, and learn defensive magic first, and learn how to protect yourself first. But for someone else, that may not be necessary. I do suggest at least educating yourself on it first, just because it's good to know to avoid anything going wrong in the future. Just because if you don't know what you're doing, you do want to make sure you have a protection around you first. And that could just be simply thinking about a white light surrounding you, having your guides and guardians surround you and protect you and watch over you. But I've also come to the conclusion for my personal self, as an experienced witch, that protection is not necessary for me. And that's okay. And that might be something that you choose as well. I just want to provide you with all the necessary information first. So if you feel like you want to do a protection circle around yourself first, and open a circle and close a circle and do all the things and do things more of the high magic standard, then that's great for you. But for me, I'm more of a get the magic done and in and out kind of witch now. And I'm also more of stepping into my own personal power. I find protection great. And if you want to use it every single day, awesome. I only suggest that you don't come at protection through the means of a fearful mindset or a fearful standpoint. Now, if you're coming at protection as a sense of fear, then you are powering that fear, you're powering that negative energy. For me, I feel like stepping into your power and expanding that throughout your space at all times and knowing you're in control at all times is the most powerful thing for me, instead of feeling like I need to rely on being in a little bubble at all times. And that's just what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Rely on being in a little bubble at all times. And that's just what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. And if later on you feel like you want to choose to do that as well, awesome. But I will provide you with all the very basics, because I do want to make sure you guys are safe regardless of what you do. And I do not want my personal beliefs to set somebody up who's not strong enough at that time to be on their own without protection, who is fearful. Because if you're fearful, you're going to want to work on that development first, to get rid of your fear and come into your own power. And it's scary. And I can do a video on that if you feel like you would like more information, for sure. But do not come at it as a standpoint of being scared, because there's nothing to be scared of. You are powerful, and you do not need anything else to protect you if you are in that standpoint. It's great to have an extra little bit of help, but you don't necessarily need it. All you really need is yourself. With all of that said, if you're feeling like you're ready to get into ritual right now, in this very second, and you're feeling called to do that, I encourage you to do that. Just experience all that you can. Definitely go in with an educated mindset, but definitely if you feel like you want to sit down and pray to a deity that you resonate with, or if you want to do a ritual to bring abundance or whatever it is into your life, or to bring prosperity or success or creativity, then by all means do that. Do not be afraid and feel like you need to know all the things and all the steps and all the hoo-ha to really get into witchcraft. Just start. A craft is really what it is. It's crafting your reality around you. And you don't have to be fearful of that, and you don't have to know everything to begin with. You will learn through experience. And that is majority of what I know, is through experience and trial and error, and learning what works for me, what herbs work for me, what don't, what oils work for me, what don't, and what rituals work for me and what don't work for me. The next thing I would suggest is getting comfortable with setting intention. And that is something that's going to create a standpoint for you that's going to help you on your spiritual journey as well. So if you can start things with like an affirmation of I will or I am, then you're really on your way to creating your reality and becoming a true witch. Because intention setting is really creating a spell with your words, either spoken out loud or said within. I do find speaking them out loud a little bit more powerful, but to each their own. And it's really what it is. It's a spell through word itself, through written word, through spoken word, through inner thought, through feeling. If you want to know more about magical intention setting, definitely let me know in the comments below, and I can do a video all about that, because that's something that I highly suggest starting off with when you begin witchcraft. The next one I would suggest is, if you choose to subscribe to using deity in your practice, I would choose a pantheon that works for you. Yeah, I said choose. For me, I was not somebody that deity came to right away. And has not really came and chosen me yet. I chose them. And for me right now, what has always resonated with me is, yes, the Celtic pantheon, but my most resonant has always been Aphrodite and in the Greek pantheon. I myself personally have chosen not to use the entire pantheon. I've decided to use deities that call to me throughout, because in my own perspective, that's just the way it works to me. Deity, they are all the same deity, and they are all different deities. They're just, let me see if I can explain that better. All deities are different aspects of other deities, so they're just represented differently throughout different cultures and different time frames in history. Maybe a deity will come to me and call to me one day when they feel I'm deemed worthy and ready for them. And I hope that happens one day, because I've always wanted to be chosen to be a daughter of a deity, like the Morgan or like Bridget. But if that does not happen, I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with going out and choosing an action and making a choice and deciding I'm going to work with this deity because I resonate with them and I'm going to honor them, and hopefully they'll work with me back. There seems to be this mindset out there that matrons or patrons have to come to you to work with you, and I don't think that's true. Yeah, it's amazing and it's magical, but maybe they only come to you 2 years down your practice. Maybe they come to you 30 years down your practice. Or when you're 80 years old, sitting in your rocking chair knitting, watching your soaps or something. Like, why wait your entire life to honor a deity if you feel resonant with them for when they feel like you're ready? Maybe work towards becoming ready for them. And that would be all you really need to do. Why wait your entire life? I'm more of the subscription of going out and making things happen for myself. And if I feel like I want to work with a deity, I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to honor them and work towards it and earn that right. Other than Aphrodite at the moment, the deities that I work with are actually completely unconventional. There's this idea of pop pantheons not being legitimate, but for me, I work with archetypes a lot. In the tarot community, you can see this when they work with the archetype of, say, the Fool, or they work with the archetype of the Hanged Man, or they work with the archetype of the Magician. Witches do this all the time. You want to step into a certain energy throughout those cards, then you're going to start doing and acting in a certain way that that archetype represents and how they would act in this world. That's a lot of what tarot does, is it shows you where you are in this world energetically throughout the journey of the cards. For me, another archetype that I work with very closely that I've not really spoken of before is actually Xena, Warrior Princess. She is very much a huge inspiration for how I want to show up in the world and how I manifest what I want into my life. She is unapologetic. She is untaming. You cannot tame Xena. She is wild, she is free, she does what she wants, she does not ask for permission, and she gets things done how she wants them, when she wants them. And that has always been a huge inspiration to me. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about pop pantheons and creating your own or discovering your own, definitely let me know. I can do a whole other video about that. Let me know in the comments below, and if I get enough comments on it, I'll definitely do a video on it. And I think it's really important that you work with deities and archetypes that really resonate with you deeply, because those are the ones that are really going to help you move on and move forward in your development. They're the ones that you're going to really resonate with and you're going to be able to connect with better. And if you're not connecting to an archetype, then you're not going to be able to improve yourself. So I definitely think it's super important that you work with whomever you feel that you deeply resonate with, be it a pantheon of throughout history or when you create through a pop pantheon. That is definitely okay. Whatever makes you feel like you are improving yourself is amazing, and I think you should go for it. The next tip I have is to use your current interests and your personal style to fuel future explorations throughout your craft. And what I mean about that is, don't throw out your personal aesthetic that you've had for years, that shows you who you are, that you've developed and accumulated into who you are and who you show up to be throughout the world, and represent yourself as, to replace it with something that's traditionally pagan or traditionally accepted pagan or nature loving. If you love that aesthetic, awesome, go ahead. Or if you want to incorporate that into your current aesthetic right now and meld them together, cool. But I wouldn't completely throw away who you represent yourself to be in the world, just to be a pagan aesthetic or a pagan represented throughout your life. You don't have to change the way you dress. You don't have to change the way you decorate your home. For me, I'm very much a homey type person. I like things to feel aesthetically antique. It's something that I've been struggling with because I do live in a more newer home. It's something one day I'd love to have, like an antique fireplace and all of the things. But I'm also very kawaii. I love Japanese film. I love Japanese animation. I love cute, adorable things, and I represent that throughout my style. I have stuffed animals, and I have characters that I've collected over the years, Sailor Moon characters, and Inuyasha comic books and all that kind of thing, and posters throughout my space that represent who I am, and I'm not going to get rid of that in favor of a pagan aesthetic. For example, if you love punk music or rock and roll, use that as something that fuels you to drive you throughout your practice, through your rituals. For me, I don't always use pagan music. One, I don't always resonate with what pagan music is out there, and that's another reason why I want to create my own album worth of pagan music, which I'm super excited about doing. But you should use the music that you resonate with, that gives you that fire within, that evokes that certain emotion that you were looking for. For example, for me, one of my favorites is I Am the Fire by Hailstorm. They are my most all-time favorite band, right next to Evanescence. And for that song, I use that for any empowerment work that I have, for any inspiration or creativity work. It is quite literally, for me, a spell through their own words, pushing an intention into my workings. And for me, that is a lot more powerful for bringing confidence spells, or to bring motivation into my more solar plexus area for creativity and stimulation. For me, that is more dominant than using megahertz music, or using binaural beats, or using pagan based music or Celtic music. All of that has its time and place in my practice, but for me, I use that all the time in my current workings for those type of things. And I think that's totally okay, and it makes your practice part of who you are. The very next tip that I'm going to touch on is don't ignore your dreams. They are literally visions that you are getting through your guides, guardians, ancestors, and through your subconscious higher self that are guiding you towards the answers that you are seeking. It could be more of like precognition, or you're having a vision through a dream, so for more of a psychic ability, or you could be getting messages through your deities and your guides and your guardians. And it's something that I definitely highly suggest developing in the beginning. For me, it's been highly effective and it's been highly useful for me, and it's been able to fuel a way to connect to deity through my dreams, and be able to have that more close connection where I feel I'm more pulled into their realm. I'm a little bit closer to them by asking for answers through them, and being able to receive messages through deity through my dreams. And then being able to wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night, grab my journal off the side of my table, and journal out everything I remember from it from start to finish as quickly as I can. Or if you're able to talk after sleep, sometimes it's hard for myself because I get a little croaky and stuff. But if I'm able to speak, I do have a recorder beside my bed as well. And if that's easiest for me at that moment, because my eyes blurry and I can't see, I'll just hit record, and I'll just speak out everything that I can remember. And that's generally the most easy thing for me that I can do, because something you can speak about within 3 to 5 seconds in your speech could be a half an hour worth of dream and 20 minutes worth of writing out detail. So sometimes writing or speaking it out first is the best way, and then you can go back and journal about it later on. Now, I know there are some people that are out there that cannot dream or remember their dreams for various amount of reasons, and that's okay too. But if you are able to, it's why I stress learning to recall your dreams better is because what we're doing is we're subconsciously receiving symbols and messages and imagery from source, whatever you may want to call it, and it could vastly help you in your development of your spiritual path, through your witchcraft path, through your everyday life. And for me, I found it invaluable. It's definitely one of the more resourceful things that I've used that have been, it's invaluable to me. It's great to start doing if you eventually want to start astral traveling, or if you want to commune with deity like I use it for. Okay, you guys, that is it for this video on how to get started in your craft, in your personal pagan path, or in your personal witchcraft path. Those are my tips and tricks and things that I wish I would have learned in that kind of order. That would have been super helpful for me. If you have any questions at all, definitely leave a comment below and I will get to them. Either I'll make a video or respond to them in the comments below. As well as if you're really interested in learning more about becoming a witch and the basics of witchcraft, definitely subscribe to this playlist, hit like. It lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that you guys are enjoying this content, and it'll allow me to make more of the same, so you can continue to enjoy this. And don't forget to hit subscribe to this channel and the notification bell, because you don't want to miss a video. I do post several times a week all about pagan, witchcraft, occult, spirituality, all of that. The next video that I'm going to be having come out after this is going to be all about what is magic, how to work with it, and chi energy, and how to culminate that into yourself, and how to start moving chi or magic throughout the body, start manipulating it and using it for your intent, and get you ready for your very first spell. You of course can get in there and just go for it without knowing that, but I feel like learning how to control chi and learning how to ground yourself and all of that is super important to stop yourself from burning out and being exhausted the next day. So if you're interested in all of that, make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.